Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Starward Rogue. During the last part, I began my foray into the first expansion of Starward Rogue titled AuGMENTED, and I began my first run using the Warhog mech over here, but unfortunately I died in floor number 3. Also, to correct a rather big mistake I made in the previous part, Floor 2 was not a gold floor, at least that's what I think. From what I've heard, in order to access the gold floor, you need to do several special things. Floor 2 was just a beefed up version of a regular floor that was added thanks to including the augmented expansion. I worry how difficult the gold floors will be. I thought Floor 2 was a gold floor because all the enemies were gold type enemies, but apparently not. Then again, I may be mistaken in the same way, but we'll see as we get further and further into the game. Now, I said I was going to use the Zephyr mech, but I decided I'll take the more unique mech of the bunch, the Paladin Mech. This is the first melee-focused mech in this game. Well, there have been close-range combatants, but this one is a pure melee combatant. It's armed with the Phantom Blade, which allows it to throw swords at a close distance, but it can pierce through walls. But if you attack at melee distance, it deals a lot more damage. A power shield acting like a paladin shield, and a holy guided missile launcher. We start out with a healing consumable equivalent to the repair putty, but we lose 10% of our credits upon entering a new floor due to donating it for charity or whatever. So let's start out with this mech and hope that we survive for long enough. We start out with at least 10 missiles though, and a decent amount of health. So let's see. Let's see how long we'll be able to survive for. Wait for the lag to subside. Okay, here it is. All of our utilities and weapons are gold type utilities, so these are much more rare drops. The Phantom Blades, as I'll show here, throws a phantom projectile of a sword. As you may have noticed, it slightly sends you forward in the direction you're firing, so you gotta be a bit careful with that. You may accidentally jostle yourself right into an enemy projectile or enemy. We also have the power shield, which blocks all projectiles that are in front of me. And also, I can use it to shield bash enemies if I run right in front of them, which temporarily stuns them and prevents them from firing projectiles at me. And I also have the Holy Missile Launcher, aka the Angel's Rat Missile Launcher, which fires 6 homing holy missiles per shot, and it has a really fast firing rate, allows it to do a lot of damage over time, as well as being able to spread the damage around. After all, I can fire 10 of them at once, so that's pretty useful. But of course, this is a melee-focused mech, so I guess this will be better for enemies, mini-bosses, and certain bosses. There's going to be some problems with some of the boss encounters, such as the Warden, and especially Terminus. But let's see how long we'll be able to survive for. As usual, let's see what's in this room. For some reason, in my previous few runs, I always start out near a major item storage. I want to try out the Paladin Power Shield, so let's see how we'll be able to survive for. The other thing I've noticed is that the Paladin's profile or mech hitbox seems to be a little bit bigger. And unlike the previous mech, I can at least get the health shards properly. Took first point of damage here. As you can see, I can just shoot my projectiles through walls, so that's going to be super useful. And also, as mentioned in the description, melee attacks using the blade deal a lot more damage, but you gotta be really careful because you can accidentally walk into a projectile and take some damage. Plus, you start out with only 8 health, or 8 max health, but at the very least, unlike the Warhog, you at least start out with 1 max shield, so that's really useful. Plus, being able to fire through walls is going to be really useful in certain enemy configurations, but we'll have to see. No thanks, I really don't want to fight the boss just yet. Especially with these newer mechs, and especially with the increased difficulty introduced with this expansion, I really need to do experience grinding and getting a lot more perks and whatever else, for safety. Also, here's the power shield blocking enemy projectiles. And you can see over there, temporarily stuns enemies. Thankfully, there is an indicator whenever I stun an enemy. As you can see there, I just one-shot that enemy at melee range. But of course, you still gotta be a bit careful, and apparently the damage decreases as we go further and further from enemies, so you gotta be a bit careful in that regard too. Essentially, there's damage falloff for this weapon. At the very least, just like the Crimson Moon Mech, I can delete enemy projectiles. However, unlike the Crimson Moon Mech where my shield was directly in front of me so I can attack and ram enemies forward, the shield here is to my side, so I can't necessarily attack the same enemies and shield bash them. I need to turn 90 degrees first. Also, as you may have noticed there, if I have my shield up pointed against the laser emitter, I can walk right through the laser. That may be useful later on. Double health shards always. The other ones are pretty useful, especially the double healing. I guess that's a new perk. But I really want more max health. Also, my earlier assumption was incorrect. The shield does not protect me against these lasers, unfortunately. Really would have liked if it actually did. And unfortunately, I don't have any keycards to unlock the doors. I'm getting really unlucky with my keycard drops. I really want to save up my credits, so I will not purchase that. Normally I'm not this unlucky with my keycard drops. But alas, it's time to finish off this floor. I have nowhere else to go after all. Okay, time to fight the first boss, Battle Swarm. This may be a problem because I need to be at close range to hurt the enemy. At the very least I can delete projectiles. Like such. That was a good demonstration of the difference between melee damage and longer range damage. You noticed how much of a chunk of increased damage I did when I was right next to the boss. And thankfully, because it was slower firing, I could easily delete all of those hashes before they became a threat. After all, I can immediately toggle it and turn it on and off. So for more pro players who know how to balance using the weaponry, or using the Paladin shield, it can be quite powerful, especially in the late game. And it'll scale to be even better and better as we unlock more and more energy. Well, this was a average floor, I guess. Below average, maybe. I got no key cards, and had a low amount of credits. At the very least, I didn't take too much damage. The Phantom Blade's piercing through walls ability is going to be super useful. Everywhere throughout the run, actually. But of course, I'll have to see how long I'll survive for. Nah, I already have a Guardian Blaster of sorts. Also of note, as you may have noticed, the room color is not brownish or golden, so we have a regular floor 2 this time, thank goodness. Now we don't have a super difficult floor 2. Then again, we may have a super difficult floor coming in the near futures, so we still gotta be a bit careful. I say that because I see no gold enemies yet. I want to take some more health, so I'll take that. If I had a longer range weapon, I would have gone more for brutal. I want to keep the LOH unit because it'll fully restore my health, and it'll give me some temporary seconds of vulnerability, or invulnerability. Nah, I want to keep these. I really need more health. I'll start thinking of taking some extra damage upgrades once I get up to about at least 18 health at max. If I have access to a second max shield, I can decrease it down to 15 or something, but ideally I want 20 max health at the end of this run. Especially with Rodney being free, or whatever that creature is, who's masquerading as Rodney. Oh, poor Green Hunter, or rather Red Hunter. By shield bashing it, I can completely stun it and use melee attacks to just stab it to death. It seems that certain enemy types are more susceptible to shield bashing than others. I'll have to experiment with some of the other boss battles. Oh, the Flame Tank's weapon. More energy. I need more for the shield. Let me temporarily take this flamethrower for part of this floor, then I'll continue onwards. And then I'll switch back to the Phantom Blade for the boss fight. I at the very least want to show the unique aspects of the Phantom Blade. Plus the flamethrower does have one thing over the Phantom Blade, that being damage over time, plus I can hit multiple enemies at once. I mean, if I keep the flamethrower here, I can effectively have a hybrid paladin / flame tank mech. Plus it has a much longer range than the Phantom Blade. You know what, I'm gonna try fighting the boss fight using the flamethrower, and if I have a better experience using the flamethrower, I'll just switch from using the phantom blade to the flamethrower. After all, versatility is one of the important aspects of Starward Rogue. To justify what I did over there, I don't think I'll need more health upgrades or full health restores, but having a full map of every floor will be super useful, so I'll take that instead. Well, that health upgrade is going to be super useful. Now let's try fighting the boss fight. I would have liked to take a look at the defensive shop, but I don't have any access keys. Okay, Sunder, I fought you before. So let's see how useful the flamethrower is going to be against this one. Okay, I can temporarily stun this. Oh, I positioned myself badly. Oh yeah, and I can't just run right into it, I have to be a bit careful because I can't push back the enemy. That was close. At least it temporarily stops the enemy from firing back, I think. I don't have any shields, so that's useless. Let's go with credits. What should I do? Should I go for the flamethrower? Let me double check what the range is between each of the weaponry. That'll be my best option. The sword actually has longer range, so I'll take it instead. Though I won't be able to burn enemies over time, so that's going to be a minor risk. But to be fair, I really want to showcase this mech's unique strength, so I'll keep with this sword. Still, I would honestly consider using the flamethrower throughout the rest of this run, because of how well it synergizes with this mech. Especially with its better DPS over time. Let's just hope that what I just did isn't a huge mistake throughout the run. As I said, certain synergies work better than other ones. Yeah, no, I'm not taking that. So we have the map of this room now, so... Okay, I want to go for the major item storage first, then I'll go for the defensive shops. So let's go left first. Actually, no, let's go up because it's a clear one. It's easier. I mean, it's a shorter range one. Well, if I position myself better, I'll be able to completely stun-lock this boss. Yikes, the combat shield, or rather the paladin shield, is super useful, it seems. But it only seems to be working pretty well for the mini-bosses and enemies. For boss encounters, it's a little bit too risky to use it directly on the bosses themselves. And what do the different colors mean? I see them flashing between blue and red. Does the red mean they're almost done being stunned? At the very least, this sword's range isn't that bad. It's not as bad as some of the shotguns. I don't want to take any risks and take any max damage. Okay, let's see. Oh sure, I'll definitely take this one. It's a bit more risky because I lose my 4-second invulnerability frames, but this is still nice. Wait a minute. You know what, for this run, I'm gonna play a lot more defensively and not take the FTL module. After all, taking the FTL module means that I'll lose my 4 seconds of invulnerability, and considering how up close and personal I get to enemies, those 4 seconds could be really crucial to not instantly dying to some of the mini-bosses or boss fights, especially the ones with a lot of projectiles here and there. That's gonna be awesome for the boss fight, so let me save up for this room, and then when I get to face the boss, I'll utilize that. Well, would you look at that? There's the combat shield. That's the one I had in Crimson Moon Mech. Too bad I can't have both at the same time, it'd be a lot more useful in that way. But nonetheless, the power shield seems to be super useful if I can learn how to stun lock enemies, but I gotta be careful and learn the hitboxes of both me and the enemies, so I don't accidentally kill myself. As you saw over there, I was sort of able to stun lock all the Acarus bosses. I'm not gonna take a risk here. I want to keep the consumable shopkeeper alive this time. Ooh, this is gonna be super useful, especially with this mech type. I do not want to take energy transfer, that's probably for a more berserker build. I heavily rely on the energy shield, so this is gonna be stupid to take. This is pretty neat, this may help with attacking other enemies, but the Melee Master is going to synergize very well with this one, and any other possible mechs that will use melee weapons in the future. It'd be interesting to see if there are any other types of melee weapons added, like axes, lances, anything longer range or shorter range. That would be pretty neat to see. Maybe stuff like a battering ram, or maybe one of your primary weapons being a shield itself. I'd like to see that in a modded mech series. I mean, all of these updates added to the game so far add a lot of capabilities for new mechs to be added. We already saw how creative Logo Rogue was with their newest mechs in their modded mech series. I would like to see more players add their own modded mechs. I know I will once I want to do some OP mechs. If you're wondering why I want to make an OP mech, one word: misery. I really want to see what secret boss lies at the end of Misery Mode at the end of Floor 7, because I've heard rumors there is a secret mini-boss, or final boss encounter there. If you're wondering what the Necromech ability does, it means that once you die, you revive with your same stats as before and same max health, but you can never pick up anything in the game or purchase anything, so you'll be stuck at your current stat level, and unless you picked up a perk for restoring max health, well, you'll never be able to restore health either, so it's a high risk, high reward thing. It's best to take that just before you fight Terminus or something, that way you won't waste your run if you end up dying. At least, that's what I think. Let's see, I don't need consumables, but I would like to take a look at the defensive shop. After all, I do have access to 70 credits now, so that seems like the perfect time to at least take a look. That was a definite plus, and wow, 17 health. This is going a lot better than my previous run, that's for sure. I was worried that the melee focus of this mech would end up harming me in the long run, but apparently not. I'm quite thriving. But of course, as I've repeatedly stated throughout this LP series, I shouldn't get too haughty. My fortunes can reverse themselves pretty quickly with the wrong room type. You saw what happened in the previous part with that Aegis mech, which I haven't encountered yet. Well, I guess it's time to fight the boss. I'll be using the rocket circuit here. Oh, Invader, it's been quite a while since I last fought you. You're the one with all the defense mechanisms, who I can easily bypass by just going here. Spam time. Here's the absolute beast power that we can have with infinite missiles, thanks to the Paladin Mech. Most other mech types don't have this many missiles you can fire at once, but thanks to the rapid fire, you can absolutely just melt everything, especially if you hold down the spacebar. Just look at it. Too bad it's only a temporary 30 seconds. Just imagine how crazy it would be if you could have this throughout the run, or have it as a secondary ability. But of course, before I finish off, nah, I don't need to check those again. I'll take a risk and go forwards. Floor 1 was kind of meh, floor 2 was getting better, but floor 3 really picked up the ante. I mean, look at it, I have a max health of 17. I'd like one more max shield, but I may or may not get it. After all, this is a Paladin Mech, so having more shields seems appropriate for a Paladin-focused mech. Oh, I totally forgot to pick up my utility though. Oops. That's the one I forgot, for fully healing and invulnerability. That was a mistake. I'll have to pick something up quickly. So overall, I think I'm doing pretty well. I don't have as many power-ups as I did with Crimson Moon, but it's still pretty good. After all, I totally didn't expect to get 17 max health here this fast. Plus I have things like Melee Master, and I'm still learning how powerful the power shield is, considering how you can stun lock a lot of foes. So in the next part, I'll continue on by completing floors 4 and 5. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!